3 large peaks ahead, 4 maybe. Got paradise immediately in the foreground. I think that's Santa Rosa behind it. There's another smaller one back there. I believe that's a granite peak way off into the distance. Be reaching each of them in turn. This is the summit of Paradise Peak. And if you consider the surroundings, it's an appropriate name. Should be noted, this is one of the most lichen-rich places I've ever seen in Nevada. It's mostly old crusties. Some foliose things underneath some boulders though occasionally. I think that's fireweed coming up. By the way, down there. Looks like it. It's a circumboreal taxon. Just noticed that. I would argue the lichen diversity is probably greater than the plant diversity on the highest ridge top. Not being much of a lichenologist, I'm not going to spout off any genera here. It's a green forms, brown and black forms, oranges, yellows, you can see it. And you know what's happening? Why that is? It's because there's more room to colonize here. They don't like limestones. They can't really grow on limestones that well. Something about the limestone, maybe the complete lack of substrate sometimes on a limestone slab. It's just so smooth. It's one hypothesis. Maybe the lichen folks have delved into substrate discrimination. Be a cool study. But these granites here, there's some toeholds, if you will, footholds for the crusties to establish, spores to lodge into. I think that's probably part of it. There must be a catch for spores to hold on to get caught into. Must be grooves, there must be pock marks. Limestones don't really do that so much. Although up in the corners of the limestone slab you'll see lichens occasionally. No limestones in the Santa Rosa so far. Not breaking any speed records. Those cattle and deer trails have yielded to non-stop rock ridge, sagebrush and other shrubs in the spaces between rocks, of course. And yes, it is much slower going. And the high ridge is going to take a while under these conditions. Thought he'd be kind of done with it tomorrow night, but it's seeming a little less likely. Meaning these 3 high peaks here ahead of me. There's plenty of ridge after this, just not quite as high. These fins have been tough to negotiate. Bit light on the mileage, despite a fairly full day. Camp in that kind of windy saddle down there. It's the only spot for probably a mile in each direction. Upwards. But it's time to stop. I found a flat enough spot. It is windy-ish. Breezy-ish. Good enough for tonight. This is not terrain to be on in the after hours in any sense if you can help it. Do not want to be here in the darkness. The locusts still crawling like mad everywhere. There's swarms of them on the rocks. They love the late evening sunny rocks, west facing ones. But then where they're going now, I'm guessing deeper into the rocks for the night. But they do love that last bit of heat after a day of chomping down all the plants. Haven't been seeing much. They love flowers and fruits. So a lot of the stuff I'm encountering is vegetative. It's healthy, but it's devastated of its flowers and or fruits. That's what they prefer. If you go down to the lowlands where the lupines are real common, they all look vegetative, and some of the leaves have been chewed too, but all the pods, slipped there, all the pods, all the flowers are devastated. That describes these elevations too, above 9,000 feet. They cover the whole gradient. And here's that camp. Here's the exact spot that's flat enough to use. It's gonna be a slow day. It's gonna put me behind. It's non-stop rock ridges. It's all bouldery like this, up close. Very hard to navigate. Very slow going amongst shrubbery and boulders. Kind of started in earnest after Paradise there, although it was present most of yesterday. Looks like it'll present much of today, at least past Santa Rosa there, and on towards Granite. It looks smoother and grassier. Slowly getting there. I don't know where Santa Rosa is. It's right behind me here somewhere. Pretty much there. We're almost. Then it's straight northwards towards Granite. Looks like there's more high country beyond, but this high country after Santa Rosa until Granite looks quite fine for walking. Not bouldery ridges. Also getting back towards the point where I started. There's that gap in between Granite and the high point to its east. That's where I parked. Walked the valley, Paradise Valley to the start. I've made it this far. But that point where I parked is only kind of the halfway mark, maybe a little more. The whole north to still survey, and that should be quicker overall. Dirt tracks and such coming back. I think there's tracks on the ridge itself at some point. So getting by with quite a bit of side hilling. The ridge top itself proper is bouldery and brushed over. But there's lots of deer and cattle tracks on the side hills. And so I'm still making some progress in these relatively early hours of day 3 of the ridge traverse. Hoping to be at a stash tonight. Don't think it's remotely possible. But I have enough provisions for an extra night. It's okay. And now we got this. It looks a lot less bouldery, so that's a good thing. Well, got a bouldery descent still, clearly. This is Santa Rosa Peak, namesake of the range of this particular wilderness area as well, which I believe is called the Paradise Santa Rosa Wilderness. And that's quite a climb up. I don't see a lot of high connecting ridge over there either, so maybe we have quite a drop before Granite as well. Santa Rosa here, 1,500 more feet. It is hidden way up there. See how low I am? Santa Rosa is the high point. Close to 9,700 feet up there. Close to 9,700 feet out there at Granite as well. A very precipitous drop off to some steps and aspen forest below. Looks like about a 2,000 foot drop before steadily beginning to climb back up towards Granite. After Santa Rosa here, looks like the blocks taper off a bit, thankfully. Nearly a year since surgery. Just used my bad arm to haul myself onto a summit block for the first time. The arm was needed. Been getting periodic lift action out here with the bad arm, and it's probably all therapeutic. Type of injury I've had and had repaired. Takes professional athletes over a year to recover oftentimes, and puts me in the same boat. It's been about a year almost. Gave me the shivers. These are piles of dead locusts. Could smell them from some meters away. I don't know what makes them congregate in this one spot and die, but such it is. There's poor feet up here, that's for certain, up on these talus blocks. They starved to death trying to climb the rocks, or what? A lot of things are just developing early spring-wise. The snow has clearly not been long gone from here. All kinds of things popping up underneath, including Sex Fragici. Where are they? There they are. There's a living locust. Really unique ivsia here. It kind of looks like a polemonium. Here's its only flower so far. Well chewed up. Here's another one. I believe I'm still in wilderness, so I'm going to wait till granite to collect this. It's a nice new find though. And if there's a big enough patch and few enough locusts, it looks like there's flowers present. The first time I ran into this, on the other side of Santa Rosa there, too few individuals and far more locust. It's one of the most vast aspen forests in the state of Nevada, I would say. This entire basin. Here's a pond. We got Ranunculus aquatilis thriving in its midst. Ephemeral pond, clearly. Look at that crowd of locusts on top of that pole, my God. They get into there and they start swimming and start panicking, and they'll climb up whatever gets them out of the water. Now they're kind of stuck up there. But they can actually swim kind of okay. Look at that. They can swim to vegetation. I'm not going to go further in because I risk getting my feet quite wet here. Way ahead is more mild for a time. We got a nice deer track here. And we need more tracks and more mildness to recover some time, recover some mileage. I'm quite a bit behind. Probably 10 miles at this point, which is significant in a range like this, where the miles go by slowly indeed. No marmots since day one, so low down, near 7,000 feet. Basically desert mountains. Living in desert blocks, never seen such a thing. Have not seen any marmots since. Seen plenty of other rock squirrels though. Much smaller chippies. They thrive in the rocks up here. Quick, timid. You've all seen chipmunks before. Pretty much look the same as the woodland creatures. Different patterning, of course, and surely other adaptations. Surely more physiological than morphological in many ways. But I guess Granite Peak might harbor some marmots, huh? Probably passed plenty of marmots. They're just not out or shy or living on different ridges than the exact pathways I've been taking. And yes, by the way, the ridges have opened up for a bit. Not many rocks till that final granite ridge upwards there, and it's a very long ridge. It looks like I'll probably start it today. And yeah, I have a stash on the other side of granite, several miles, and that's where I thought I'd be tonight. Oh well, I have provisions, I have water, and there should be more snowfields ahead. It's an eerie peace without the hissing and clicking constant of the locusts. Where'd they all go to? They already sweep through here. They do move in waves. Once the wave is past, maybe it's just eerie silence, wind and birds. No more clicking and hissing. Constant, continuous thrumming of locusts. I'm over it. It kind of gets to you after a while. All these humongous grasshopper-like creatures everywhere too. Ooh, just fell. That was a little bit of a den. Someone's hole I just fell into. Good thing I didn't land on any rocks. Where was I? And they're constantly underfoot and on your stuff and climbing all over your gear and tent. They've chewed away at my trekking pole quite a bit over the days. Most of that damage occurred just the first night I was at the car here, and I just left the pole outside and they chewed it up. But every morning I find them on the pole. It's not exactly a plant. It's something chewy and cellulose rich, though. It's attractive to them. Locusts definitely pass through here. I imagine the waves can be successive. Snowberries are looking shabby. They're rich with flowers right now if they're untouched. What we see on the ground here is scarcely any flowers. See lupines just in the leaf state. They should be into flower and fruit by now, of course. So they've definitely been through here, and they're no longer here. I don't know if they go from one slope up and down the other slope or what. Whatever stops them. When the food simply runs out, it's time to mate. What an interesting life cycle those little shits have. Yes, they do look like little shits. Although they do come in all colors, really. I've seen green ones and black ones and kinds of stuff in between. Just heard some marmot-esque whistles in these rock piles. I did see other ground squirrels, no marmots though, but I know that call anywhere. They are here. Yeah, chirping locusts are back too. I wonder if the squirrels eat locusts opportunistically. They must taste like plants to some degree. Hear that whistle? That's what marmots sound like. Maybe we'll see one up here. Let me shut up. Oh, there it is. You probably missed it because it's way down there. They're here. Just as I was wondering about them. Saw a big old fat sunbather there. Yep, I see the tracks there. They start to head up. I don't know where they end. Probably the rock part of the ridge. there's lots of fences along the way too, because that's how the range started, with a constant fence on the ridge. So much of the Toyabe looks like, fenced on the exact ridge line, which can be helpful for a walker because there's often a track near a given fence. Not always. In addition to the snowberries and the sagebrushes, there's been a lot of chokecherries up here. Very popular with the locusts, as you might imagine. I'm used to seeing chokecherries in well watered canyons, lower elevations of Colorado, not on dry ridge tops. Any sense? This is unique habitat for chokecherry. It is dry ridge top. There's nothing snow melty about this place at this point in time. Although maybe deep enough underground, that's what counts. Add access to moisture. Dig a foot or two deeper. I know the top few inches are pretty dry. You discover that through collecting, of course. Some pretty stuff here, starting with the sunset. Super blooms of white lupines now. We had yellows, we had light lavenders. There's some yellow in this population. It's mostly such pale lavender as to appear white. And yes, there's locusts here, but they haven't quite found this spot in mass yet. So you can hear them here, but not affecting the vegetation too negatively. Show you those chokecherries, just so you believe me. You got chokecherries on dry ridge tops. It's something else. It's Prunus virginiana, in case there's any confusion. I guess it probably occurs pretty widespreadly out east too. Eastern US, that is. This is what I came here for. The plants before the plagues. I knew there were super blooms here. I still run across some. Balsam roots are very, very popular with locusts. More so than lupines.